retrospective show.
For a retrospective show.
The horror retrospective show.
You know how to whistle, don't you, Steve? You just put your lips together and blow.
During World War II, American expatriate and current fishing boat captain Humphrey Bogart helps transport a French resistance leader and his wife to safety while also romancing Lauren Bacall, a pickpocket turned lounge singer. Despite this being a rehash of Casablanca, which came out 2 years prior and also starred Bogart, the film is still regarded as a classic and almost equally as good as its counterpart. Where Casablanca had substance, this film has style and star power. Directed by Howard Hawks, novel by Ernest Hemingway, adapted by William Faulkner, and starring, of course, Bogart, Bacall, and Brennan. As legend has it, while on a fishing trip, Howard Hawks tried to talk Ernest Hemingway into writing a screenplay for him. When Hemingway refused, Hawks bet him he could turn his worst novel into a good film. Some people say Hawks picked the book, others say Hemingway. The consensus is, though, the movie is much better than the book. This also is the film debut of 20-year-old Lauren Bacall. After the movie, Bogart divorced his wife, married Bacall, and gave us one of the most famous couples in Hollywood history. I have no issues with this being a carbon copy of Casablanca. The thing that made this movie stand out was the chemistry between Bogart and Bacall. Otherwise, like I mentioned before, it's just a rehash of Casablanca.
For me, it was kind of odd because, I don't know, Lauren Bacall, it took me a while to warm up to her. Like, she seemed very cold fish and just kind of like moody, very stuck up when she first runs across Bogart.
Who was the girl, Steve?
Who's what girl?
The one who left you with such a high opinion of women. She must have been quite a gal.
Throughout the course of the film, I realized, hey, I'm kind of liking her a little bit, but she's really not who I would choose as a leading lady. I think Bogart is mostly the one that carries the film and really makes it work.
You're both going to take a beating till someone uses that phone. That means one of you is going to take a beating for nothing. I don't care which one it is. It'll start with you.
I don't know, maybe it's just he was a more seasoned actor at the time, but also kind of what takes me out of it is Lauren Bacall singing in the piano scene. She kind of sounds more like a moose.
The sad and lonely one.
In the ending scenes when she's kind of doing that little dance on the way out of the bar, she kind of has this weird little bop. It's like, what are you doing? Just walk normal.
And obviously it was meant to be sexy, but it did come off a little out of place and awkward. I've seen, I think, all of the films they've done together, and to me, that's her best work. When she's not playing off of Bogart, I don't think she's a particularly standout actress in any kind of a way. And I think if it wasn't for their marriage, she wouldn't be as famous or as known as she is to current day audiences or even audiences at the time.
I know the name, so I know of Lauren Bacall as more like a brand, not the actress or the woman. So kind of watching this, it's kind of like going into a movie and expecting to see this big legendary actor and expecting to be wowed. And I just wasn't. And maybe just because she wasn't as seasoned at the time, but she just really didn't do it for me as a leading lady. I warmed up to her over time, but I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, it's kind of like Bennifer. Even like younger people today, or maybe people like a generation from now, because there is Bennifer 2.0, be like, what's the deal with this Jennifer Lopez? Like, why was she famous? Her songs suck, her movies suck, like, she's not that good. But
her face looks like a horse.
Oh, wow. Didn't expect that. I do get where you're coming from. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Bacall, but it's beginning to sound like you're not the biggest fan of this movie in general.
I liked the movie, and yeah, I did get heavy hints of Casablanca, which made me want to go back and watch Casablanca, but the story I liked, it kind of seemed a little loose in some points. Like, I just really didn't get why they had to smuggle this man and his wife out of this other area, why this other guy had been shot up. I was just kind of lost in translation there. But on the love story and like, yeah, it's like I didn't realize when I started getting into it, and then it's like, I like this movie. It's not bad. It just, I had to ease into it.
I was a big fan of Bogart going into it. I think this may have been the first Bacall movie I'd seen, and I was a big fan of Hawks, the director, as well. And after I watched it, I'm like, why does everyone love this movie as much as they do? Like, I liked it, but I didn't like love it. I'm like, why is this such a classic? And also, man, this is a lot similar to Casablanca. It's like you said, I always want to watch Casablanca instead of watching this. I think I liked it more than you, but all the flaws or everything it sounds like you don't like about it, I also don't like about it. But I guess the things I do like about it kind of outweigh that. But it's definitely an uneven movie.
I'd say so. Some things kind of stood out, but the thing that I really enjoyed about it was obviously, who was it? Harry Morgan, Humphrey Bogart's character. He's obviously a good guy. He tries to do right by everybody. He tries to get Lauren Bacall's character out of there. He knows she's in a bad situation. He tries to steer Eddie away from the transport with those other people because he knew he was in shady dealings, and they just won't listen to him, and he tries to help them.
What did you think about the sidekick, Brennan's character? That was one of the characters that I kind of cringed when he was on screen. Unless you're Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas, I don't think people do drunk very well.
He was definitely a throwaway character. Like, to me, he came off more as comedic relief, but the story didn't really need him. He was more kind of like that lost dog that chases after you, and it's like, go away. I don't want to take you home.
Yeah, I just wish he didn't have so many scenes, and I would have probably been happier with it. Was this the first time you've seen this film?
It was, and you're right. I kind of did struggle. Like, parts of it I liked, parts of it I didn't like, and I think a lot of it is just, not to pick on her, but Lauren Bacall, she just didn't work for me. And I don't know, she and Humphrey Bogart had this weird love, hate, flirt, fight relationship going on throughout the whole movie.
I agree she wasn't the strongest part of the film. I agree this isn't Casablanca, but overall, I do like the film. I would recommend it. Comedy parts don't work for me. It's not a perfect film. There's no romantic rival. There's no really strong antagonist. All of the major players involved have done better work. But like I said, overall, I would recommend it because of the scenes that do work, the chemistry stuff. So I'd give it probably an 8 out of 10.
I'd probably be more on the lower tier. Maybe I'd be at about a 5, but I would say, especially if you're wanting to get into classic film, give it a go. I mean, you don't know you like it unless you try it. And I wanted to like it.
I feel like you're struggling to like not give this movie a 3. In your heart, I think you want to give it a like.
That was my
3.
first thought, honestly.
While on a fishing trip with Howard Hawks. Yeah, okay.
The sad and lonely one.